Let's see here. Oh, we got you. I got you. Here we go.
Hoping I'm not
Here he
sideways. I have
comes.
this set up.
You got to see real quick. I can't believe we got on. Yep, you are sideways.
Am I
I love
sideways?
when a plan comes
We did it.
together. Hello.
Wow.
Hello.
Who
Okay.
knew? Sean said it was
Let me-
like riding a bike, and here we are.
It's
Annie,
all
hi,
right. We are
baby.
gonna
Nice
make
to
it
see you,
happen.
sweetheart. One of my old students is on here. Hi, Aniston Groves. Everybody, it's Friday. We are back. Melissa and I exist. We're alive. We're well. And it's not Melissa McDaniel anymore. It's Melissa Grisham. Melissa was married a couple weeks ago. And we're just so happy for you. Congratulations. She looks beautiful.
Congrats.
If you haven't seen her gorgeous pictures yet, you should, because she was stunning. And we're back. So we've had a lot of craziness with Shark Tank on the Apollo side and marriages and the end of the dance season for Melissa. We had to take a second and get it together, but we are back. And we're so excited to be back with you all again with a fantastic topic that affects all of us. We're live on Facebook, Instagram, and of course on Zoom. And we want to hear your questions as we go. This is a conversation so that we can give you insight and perspective and things to keep your wheels turning as you plan for the new season. Today, we're talking about how dance educators can use meditation and restorative practices to prevent mid-year burnout. It's something that, like I just said, affects all of us. Usually around January, things get a little tough coming off the holiday season. Headed into competition, we get really, really stressed out, and nobody more than the kids. So we're going to talk today about what we can do to prevent that. Again, you're going to want to pop your questions or comments in on Facebook or Instagram, and we will direct those to Sean throughout the conversation and make sure we get those answered. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to share this conversation. And with that, Melissa, why don't you tell us who we have today?
I am honored to introduce Sean Cattouse, a native Chicagoan. Is that how you say that, Sean? Chicagoan?
It is. Yes,
Chicagoan.
it is.
I don't think I've ever said that, Chicagoan. He grew up on the north side of Chicago in Rogers Park before moving to the south side in 7th grade. He attended Hubbard High School, where he graduated with a 3.2 and received 30 D1 scholarship offers. Sean went to play for the University of California, Berkeley, the Golden Bears, and received a Pac-10 and preseason All-American honors during his tenure. Post-college, Sean played 2 seasons in the NFL for the San Diego Chargers and the Chicago Bears. Sean now dedicates his time to educating high school youth and helping communities heal through yoga, mindfulness, and nutritional education. His passion for healing is what drives him in this chapter of his life. As someone who knew him in both chapters of his life, this is an amazing, amazing journey. So thank you so much for being here, Sean.
Thank you for having me. I am so honored. Very honored. Thank you.
I told y'all we had a good episode.
Right. I told y'all need to be
not
watching.
lying.
So you made such an amazing and beautiful transformation from your career as an NFL player to an educator, a yoga instructor, and an advocate for healing and mindfulness and just total body wellness. What made you decide to embark on this journey?
Yeah, when I was finished with football, I was in a very low place. I didn't think it would be, this thing that I gave my life to for 20 years, 19 years would end when it did. And it was just a whole kind of identity crisis, just mentally, physically even, and emotionally. I just needed a lot of healing. Just as a man and coming out of that, I was very real with myself, and I just knew I needed to do some healing, some internal work. Just to find joy again, to love myself again, to heal. And so after a little bit of a chapter of very pretty dark and low times for a year or two after, I decided to take the first step, and I just looked for things to get my body healthy, my mind. I've always been a spiritual person, and so just wanted to, I took a yoga program, a 200-hour certificate program. It's actually catered to educators. It's called Breathe for Change. So there's a bunch of teachers who are also people who are also educators. And, I did the program, and it was just really life-changing. It was exactly what I needed for myself. And it was like the perfect thing I could have done. Just brought me a lot of positive in my life when I needed it the most.
Sean, do you feel like, because I feel like I hear so many dancers going, yes, because, when I even feel that when you're talking, I feel your pain, because the minute you decide to end the performance part of your career, right? I feel like
Yeah.
so much of what you're saying, dancers can identify with. It never leaves your body. It never leaves that passion for the game or the sport never leaves your body. But when you end your physical performance part of your career, it's kind of like, who am I without this? And what does my day look like without this? And it is really emotional. And for people that don't understand it, they can be looking at you going, what is your deal? Like, move on, get over it.
Right.
But
Yep.
for so many of us, it defines kind of a part of who we are. So for all those dancers out there, this is a great, thing for all of us to hear too, because I feel like it's all parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. 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 That kind of identity crisis. But I think it kind of, it definitely pulls us back into us, into ourselves, and just kind of helps in that whole re-identification, just jumpstarting that journey just into us without all of these other things that we've known and done. Just really helped me turn inward into me, and me without all of the attachments of everything that was football and this thing that I did, this performance piece that I did. So yeah, it was definitely be incredibly beneficial for whoever decides to supplement it in their lives.
Yeah. And for those, you're very fortunate because you had the awareness and the self-awareness to recognize, I need to sit in this for a second and I need to do something about it. And so many people just get so bogged down in the heaviness of it. And hopefully that's what we're here today to help a little bit for somebody that may be going through that part of their journey, or for students or educators that are feeling burned out, some ways that we can help you through that and you can help yourself through that. So with that, I want to jump right in because I know we have a lot to talk about. I would imagine that a lot of your clients are suffering from various levels of fatigue, exhaustion and burnout, especially right now with everything going on in the world. Coming out of COVID, I know everybody likes to pretend like COVID's like over, but I feel like the effects of it are looming and will be looming for a really long time. But I know a lot of people think yoga and meditation are not real, or it's kind of kooky or out there, in terms of what it does for your body. Is there actual science and research behind the benefits of yoga and meditation?
So when I think about scientific research, I can't say that I've looked into much of the scientific kind of proof behind it. One thing I can say that I know has been proven scientifically is something I share with my students, and it doesn't speak directly to yoga, but it definitely speaks to components of yoga as far as positive affirmation, speaking positivity. There's a really impressive scientific research that I think a Japanese scientist did, where he just spoke positively to molecules of water to some water, and then they flash froze it, took a picture of, I don't know how scientifically they did this, but they're scientists. This is above my knowledge and understanding. But as they froze and they spoke positive and they spoke love and they spoke, just beautiful things and positive things to the molecules of water, they froze it. And when they looked at what it looked like, it was perfect geometric shapes and just really beautiful kind of fractals of just geometric shapes. And when they spoke ugly and hurt and negative things, it was just discombobulated. And this is proven, this is fact. You can Google it, you can look it up. And so when I think whether that's metaphysics, whether that's, I don't have the full scientific understanding. One thing I do know is that when you come and participate and when we do sound bowls, right? Our sound bowls are aligned to our chakras. When you come, I guarantee that you will leave feeling light and you will leave feeling joyful and relieved of stress. I don't think I've ever had someone who did not feel amazing after a session. I've never heard a negative thing yet. The combination of, asana, the physical movement, along with breath. Our breath is so important. Our breathing, connecting with our breathing, and then the sound. It's very healing, it's very therapeutic. So to explain the science behind why, I can't do it down to a T, but I just know that it is, and it is very effective, and it always is each time.
Yeah, thank you.
There's some people on Instagram that say they can't hear Sean. If you can't, I don't know if it's just the one user.
Can you all hear me? Oh. Can you hear me now? I
We
have,
I can hear
hear
you
you.
now. Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I
Sorry, I'm
didn't
on.
even
So,
notice that.
yeah, I
Right.
was, okay. Sorry, y'all.
No, you're good.
Let us
You're good.
know on Instagram for sure. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear Sean.
And I have my tool. Should I be looking? Or we're
We
focused
go
on
back and
I just
forth.
look at
Okay.
whatever. I don't,
It's my
yeah,
setup.
we probably look crazy half the time, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
half the time
okay.
somebody's just seeing the side of my face or,
I'm gonna work
my
both of them.
eye. Like, yeah, I try to go back and forth, but
yeah.
it depends.
Okay.
So, I know, so it's more about really how it makes you feel. Thank you, Lampa 22,
Yes.
aka my
Okay.
sister, for the feedback. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So,
But yeah, so and it's more about how you feel. And I think, everybody that does any sort of yoga or restorative practice can agree. Like it makes a difference in how you feel, how you look at the world, how you look at your day. So, going on from there, I think we all know better, right, than to neglect our bodies and deplete ourselves in this way. But why do you think it's such a common thing that we do that, even though we know better? Because we really, like, we've heard, I mean, everybody has heard at this point, like, take care of
yeah.
yourself, speak
Drink
positively,
water,
do
eat
yoga, work
right,
out,
Yep.
we all know the drill, but why is it
Yeah.
so hard to do that?
I appreciate this question because it's something that I've asked myself, even as I lead people in just the way that I lead my life. And I think any human being, and most humans, right? We go in waves. We can be really high. I'm exercising. I'm eating great. I'm in a good chapter, a good period. And then for whatever reason, we kind of fall off the wagon. And I just think about, not that I've mastered this or that I'm a wise sage by any means, but I do believe that, like, we as humans, I think we're out of alignment with the way that just in society today, very capitalistic. I think that our nature is not what the world has become today. I think our human nature is we're very much detached from, when I think about ancient civilizations or, cultures from hundreds or thousands of years ago. I think it's very different, the way that they lived and the way that we live today. I think we're just a little bit out of alignment. If we go into a period and I think of myself and I'm eating good, I'm exercising, I'm going to the nature and I'm meditating and I'm thanking the water, the sun, the earth, my source. When everything around me or a lot of my circles don't necessarily practice those same routines, I think when so much of that around me, it kind of sways me. I kind of get off course when, my immediate circle or the world around me doesn't share those same practices, spiritual practices or beliefs. So I think that makes it a little difficult when everything around you practices, something different than you do. It's very easy to be swayed. And that's how I see it.
That's an interesting perspective for sure. I mean, when you think of it like that, you definitely, like, this is not the way we live, a lot busier, a lot noisier
Yep.
than probably was intended, right?
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's also interesting to think, you're swayed by what happens around you. So there really has to be a total cultural, societal movement toward this in order for you to actually embody it and live it on a day-to-day basis. But you kind of you have to start with the nucleus of your family too. So, my kids need to do it. My husband needs to do it. My family needs to do it. So then it will, you can't be living in a house with somebody who's not on board without full buy-in and think that it's actually going to be super successful.
Absolutely. I think that immediate circle is the most important. What is, I don't know the saying verbatim, but the 5 people closest to you, you're going to resemble those 5 people closest to you. So if that immediate circle is practicing and you have that close-knit kind of culture and immediate circle, I think definitely helps. That's definitely the best starting point in my opinion. Yeah.
So there's a common saying in the dance industry that dance has no off season. It's not a common saying, it's actually true, but it just doesn't. But that also means there's no rest period for us as educators. So I would imagine the same probably applies to higher level professional athletes. There's really no off season whatsoever. We keep going and we keep going and we keep ignoring all of these signs. So I know that you work with a lot of clients, you do a lot of events. What are some of the major signals in your body that your body gives when it says, listen, I have to stop and I have to try some of these restorative practices? What type of things do you feel?
Right. So I think physically, right, and stress manifests physically, it manifests mentally, emotionally. I think stress with my clients, if I'm with athletes, with clients who are not all athletes, I think just stress in general, stress, people come in, I'm stressed, I need to quiet my mind, I need to breathe, I need to move, my body's sore, right? Some people are sore, they're holding stress and tension, and maybe they haven't even been working out, right? They're sore. Different things. Some people speak about different gut things. My closer clients,
Digestive
things
issues.
things in their digestion, their digestive tract, and their gut. But I think the general soreness, stress, tension, and just mental stress, needing that break. I know that in high performing spaces in sports and you all in big competitions and doing different things, I know that stress. Um, it manifests differently in everyone, and for everyone it may look a little bit different, but yeah, I think definitely some things within the body and definitely mentally. I think that's the thing, an area we often neglect as a high performing athletes is our mental and emotional well-being and health. And I think that we're so focused on the body, but those other things show a lot of signs as well.
I'm probably getting ahead of myself here because I know we probably have this question later, but the racing mind is one of the big ones for me. And the racing mind always tells you that you don't have time to go do these things. It's like a cycle. It's like my mind is racing, I need to go do them, but my mind is telling me I don't have time for this damn yoga today. And I can't be sitting here doing sound, what? I'm not doing that. Like you feel like because you have so much going on in your head, you don't have time for it. How do you quiet that? Like, how do you say no?
Right.
I'm gonna actually take time for this.
So I think which may be a hard step, I think if you actually, and if it's just 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I have audio on iTunes of, different frequencies that you can just pop on iTunes, sit and pause. I think, right, with so many things in our lives, right, 10 minutes, we can really find a quick 5 or, we could, whether or not we believe that it will be beneficial. But I think once you take that step to just give it a try and just pause, I think us being able to pause allows our, nervous system to relax. And then I think, as we connect with our breath and just pause, even for a second, I think it just builds us up to be able to more readily handle those stresses when we take a moment to pause, even if it's just a little 5 minutes or a few minutes or 10, if you have 20, the longer the better, right? But things are busy. But it really does allow us to go back into this realm with all of these things on our plates more ready to take them on, because we've allowed our body to shut off and turn off for a minute and rest and breathe and come into ourselves. So it may seem like it's a little against, I have all these things, but if we need the balance. I think when we're rushing, we're not in balance. And so we can't be high performing when we're out of balance. Balance, and we have to figure out how to carve those time out for those things. Even if it's just a few moments. I breathe intentional breathing when school's on. I got just a couple preps. I'm coaching till 7. It's like I don't have a lot of time for most of the year until I'm on break. But one thing that I do when I have that 5-minute passing period before my kids come, I do it every single day, all day long. When I just have a minute, I take 30 seconds and breathe deep and just, when it's quiet, I have 2 minutes and I breathe. I breathe. I breathe and I like to close my eyes.
We learned about that this year, and like it sounds so silly, but like normally in that 5 minutes you might check your phone or you might have a conversation with somebody, when really taking that 5 minutes to just say no, I'm gonna sit in this quiet for a second and just reset myself. But it's so crazy what that can do for you. And just to touch on what you had just said, like, I think I was one of those people that thought meditation had to be this like a big thing where you set up the room and you dim the lights and you light the candles, and you have
you got some
music
sage
and like sweet smelly things happening, right? Like, and that it would be great, I'm sure. But I recently have added meditation into my life over the last year. The last couple of years have been crazy, but with Shark Tank, it was at another level. And my business partner and best friend practices it regularly, and she kind of just like forced me through this process to start doing that, because what happens is the negative self-talk that we do, the things that we worry about, the things that we stress about, it actually makes it worse, right? Like all the internal things we have going on in our body, all of that just adds to the pile instead of making it better. And where meditation really, like what you said, it just really brings you back to center and goes, I can do this. I get one step at a time. I can do this.
Absolutely. The ability to pause, right? And that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness meditations, and just be still. We're always on our phones. I realize the moment I'm on my phone, I'm getting anxiety scrolling. I'm like, I need to put this thing down, right? But the more that we can just pause in our lives, right? And get out of our heads, get out of our screens, get out, and just be and just breathe. It really does help. Just we need to find time to pause. We need to find time to be still.
Yeah, the pausing is hard.
The
phone is really hard.
Like, it's really, I am historically bad at it's really, really bad. I got really good for a while, but I mean, the minute I sit down to start to be quiet, I mean, things pop into my head. Like, I wonder how clay is made. I start to think of crap that you have no reason to be thinking of this right now. But it just spiral.
And so that's normal. And as we teach and I lead people, as you begin to get into it, that is totally normal. That you don't need to feel bad if you see that your mind is straying. And I just coach, bring all of your awareness to your breath. Feel like to literally feel yourself breathe. Feel where the energy flows through your body. What do you feel? Turn into this, and you will feel things, right? You'll feel your body. If you notice your teeth, like, allow them to relax. And just do a body scan. Like when you really, it's okay to, if you notice you're thinking, it's okay. Bring your awareness back. It's gonna happen, and the more that you practice, the better it gets. The more that you can really pause. One thing I do with my students, and Melissa, you've taught, I don't know how many times I can say I get 100% of kids, not 99, 100% of my students will sit and be still when I pull out my sound bowls and I play. Everyone doesn't have sound bowls, but you can put on, you can go on YouTube. They have people playing sound bowls at different frequencies. You can experiment, but I think sometimes the sound is what is able to just kind of suppress us and sink us into that space, right? That can help for somebody whose mind maybe that sound might help. Sometimes silence.
That's what I need. People. I need some sound
I'm like
bowls.
I would love for you to, I'm going to send you some tracks.
Yes, you have to, because I'm bad. I'm horrible. This is a great segue because I know there are lots of different types of restorative practices. I think people are like, oh, meditation, yoga. But you're talking about the sound bowls, and I have had those therapies before, and they are very helpful. So
what are
some? Yeah, I have. I did it at this conference one time. It's really, I mean, I was dead asleep in the middle of a whole conference of people walking around.
So it really does. Like
it does. I mean, you go down, and it babies. I've seen it work on babies before. Like you go down hard.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to try it. So what are and you talk about sound bowls. What are some of your favorite restorative practices that you use regularly with clients?
Sound. Sound, it is medicine. It is really, my sister is like a fully engulfed in the yogi life. She teaches Kundalini, she does Reiki, sound healing. She like customized her own kind of healing practice. And she really got me just into sound, and she calls it sound medicine. And I, after doing it with clients for a couple years now, I'm like, it really is medicine for stress, anxiety. And it's the right kind of sound, and different frequencies touch different chakras that we have and address different issues that we may be having with emotionally, mentally, physically. And so there's a whole science behind that. But Sound is it is undefeated for me and clients. I do it in all of my yoga sessions. They're like an hour and a half. I do like a 25-minute sound bath at the end, give people some lavender. They're like, I went somewhere else.
Okay,
You know?
so when you say sound bath, you mean like you just lay down and
You
listen
lay
to
down and I'll give some lavender to just wipe your nose, like a drop of
love
lavender.
lavender.
Lay on your back, however you're comfortable, whatever's comfortable. Most people lay down because somebody's going to go to sleep. Somebody's going to knock out, and that's not necessarily the aim, but it's fine if they do. Lay however you're comfortable, and just turn into your breathing, and the sound kind of it's going to kind of take over.
So is
It's really
the
powerful.
sound that you're playing intentional for, like, are you trying to pick a sound to set a certain type of mood or elicit some sort of response? Or is it, when you're doing this individually, is it more whatever is appealing to you? Like, we all like different types of music and
exactly. And some people like different, some of the bowls, there's small bowls that kind of gradually grow, and each one is tuned to each one of our 7 chakras, right?
okay.
So each one is tuned to that chakra. But the ones that get the most relaxation are my red, yellow, and orange. This is bigger. They're like our root, our sacral chakra, and our solar plexus chakra are the ones that I feel help people kind of sink and just go deeper into a more relaxed experience. The smaller ones, they're a little higher. They resonate higher, a higher frequency, higher pitch. But they all serve a purpose. I think I tend to, when I'm leading sessions, I want people to relax. I want people to feel grounded. I want people to, feel grounded. And so I tend to go larger. It's just really, and they get really loud if you want them to go loud, and you can feel the vibration. I think the deeper ones, knowing that you can feel that vibration, you can feel the waves in your body as you lay. And that's what really allows people to relax. They can feel it. So yeah, I'm feeling good just talking about it
it's
right
awesome.
now.
I want to try it. And I assume, like you said earlier, there's apps. I know there's apps for everything. Like, they have meditation apps and yoga like all the things, but or you can just Google or search on YouTube, right? But is there ones that you would recommend if somebody were like, I want to try this, and go to YouTube or something?
Yeah, I would say like a 432 hertz on YouTube. For one, I think if possible in person would be best. I think that's always best. But I have a YouTube, I forget the guy's name. It's the Solfeggio Frequencies. It is Kev Thompson. I don't know who he is, but he has about 10 45-minute long sound bowl tracks. They're all tuned to 174, 432. They're all different frequencies, and each one of the frequencies has a different purpose. Kev Thompson, it's actually on, you can find them on iTunes. It's probably on Spotify or the other ones as well. Kev Thompson, it's Solfeggio. Let me type it. And this is what I send to people. I believe it's Kev, and that is on Solfeggio Frequencies. He has a whole album. I just put it in there. And that is like my go-to to recommend to send to people. Experiment on which ones you like, which ones work for you. They all have titles and explanations of what they help to do. But other than that, 432 hertz, there's different frequencies, and people can look into and see which ones resonate with them. But 432 is like my go-to if I had to choose.
Question,
thank you.
Do you have to be in a resting position to benefit from this? Or should you be? Like, can I listen to this while I'm working?
Yep. I sent to my best friend, and he was like, he deals with a lot of anxiety and stress. I'm like, when he's sitting there typing, he was like, I just sat at my desk. I was like, bro, just play 2 minutes or 5 minutes before you go into that big boardroom meeting. Just play it. He sat at his desk, just take 2 minutes. You can sit upright wherever is comfortable for you. You don't have to sit down, right? You don't want to be in a position where your body needs to hold or be stressed. You want to, if you can sit up, and then that's perfect. If you like to lay down, that's perfect. But you don't want to be in a push-up plank.
Right.
you know.
Don't do it in a plank. No. Okay.
Struggling, but whatever's comfortable for you. Yes.
I almost feel like this would be like a great thing for dance educators to add at the end of like a night of
Class,
dance,
yeah.
like a solid 4-hour night or 5-hour night, like do a sound bath at the end, right?
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be amazing. I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. That's gonna be part of the homework. You need to end your classes this summer with the sound bath.
Yes.
Try it at least.
Yeah, at least try it.
No, your kids will love it for sure.
So are the techniques and practices you're talking about good for kids? I mean, I know that like we think of it more in adult terms, but
Right.
I mean, I can tell you, like, I tried yoga with my kids. They have that cosmic yoga, on YouTube, and like I'll put that on for my kids to do at home when I'm working, or they're bouncing off the walls or whatever. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. No, for student. I mean, I my class. I'm a teacher. I'm a PE teacher, and we don't roll balls out. My class is titled "It's Yoga and Mindfulness," yoga and mindfulness and social emotional learning. Excuse me. So we do yoga and sound bowls. Not every day. We will this year. This year, as we have more time, our classes are really short. But it's the one thing my kids beg for. Mr. Cattouse, can we please do bowls today? I just need and can we please? I'm like, nope. We need to run this mile. I need my push-ups. Thursday, I got you, but we got to work today. So they ask every day. Somebody's going to ask me for it, and it's the one thing, I don't know if I finished earlier, that 100% of students, they're going to sit down and be still. They can't. I've never had, I shouldn't say never. Very few students don't like it. I have 450 students. I've probably heard maybe 5 students say that I don't really like it, so everyone else is like, please, you're not going to get them all, but I'm betting on it. I'm betting the house on it every time. It's just relaxing. I ask my students, how do you feel when you get up? Oh, I feel good. I needed that. And teachers are like, what did you all do down there? They just came into my class. They were quiet. They're like, it wasn't a ruckus. I was like, oh, we meditated and we did sound. Right. And she's like, oh my God, please.
They're gonna make you do that with every class all day.
Every class, please.
Yeah. Do you feel like in all the years that you've been doing this, I think you said 7 now, that you see them carry that with them as you follow the kids as they get older? It's something they carry. So you're really, the younger you start, it seems like you're teaching them really healthy habits to carry with them through life.
Absolutely. I have high school and I have 9th through 12th. I have every grade level, but I'm like, man, if you can introduce this in elementary school, I'm like, oh, that'd be a great start. I have with my daughter, she's gonna go into high school, but she says, Daddy, can you do the shaman stuff? My sound bowls and the head rub, but she loves it. The younger, the better, for sure. I would recommend it 100%. I think it's like, it can be super groundbreaking and revolutionary just to have this as a practice for all people, definitely young people.
How often how often do you do it where it can be effective for you? I mean, obviously the more you do it, I'm sure the more beneficial it is, but realistically, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, as you incorporate it into a routine, like you said, there's not always time to put this in every day, consistently. So what's a good effective amount of time to spend on these types of things?
Well, I mean, I think it's as often as you can, right? And ideally, I'm typically the one playing it for my students, right? I'm not the one receiving, pretty rarely actually, which is a problem. I need to get on someone else's mat.
Right.
I need some love too. But I would, as much as possible, knowing that things are busy. My students get it weekly, once or twice. Now that I have 70-minute classes, I plan to do every day, which is twice a week. So twice, 2-3 times a week for 5-10 minutes at the end before they go, and just send them out feeling light, But I think that the sound is so powerful, and just incorporating the asana as well, just all together. I would say as much as you can, but if you can get it in once every week, a good nice session once a week, twice a week, I think it'd be like, just ideally once or twice, it's gonna do you some good. I know
That's
it.
great information. That's great.
We have a fan on Instagram, Sean. Is it Fit Diaz Seal? Amazing teacher and amazing person.
That's my girl. What's up?
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So I hear that there's not a minimal amount. There's not an amount that's like, okay, this is a waste of time. Like anything you can do.
Anything. I take my 30 seconds before kids come in, and I get some breathing, or you talking specifically to sound or just any of these methods?
Any of the practices, any of the practices.
Bite-sized pieces throughout the day. I breathe. I'm breathing all day mindfully. I'm stressed. I don't want to bring this into this next class. Let me, and so I'm always doing it. It can be 10, 20 seconds here, 3 minutes there, I think that it really helps. Just start. It's gonna help, however big or small. I think just trying to consistently get it, and the breathing. Please.
I mean, I notice I'm not breathing a lot. When I intentionally breathe, I'm like, wow, I can't remember the last time I took a deep breath today.
Right. When's the last time you felt yourself breathe? Oh, right. It's beautiful.
Well, and we've gone through this. Like, we both admit that we're terrible at it, but like we've had Tana Doman, T Doman, and Ashley Mowry. And what was it, like the 4 4 4, like 4 in, hold 4, whatever. Clearly we studied it.
Out for 4,
yeah. We'll see. We both. You see, we're like 4 7 3 4 something.
But I have done it.
Go ahead.
But it's helpful.
Was it okay? So you do think it's helpful?
I do. We practiced it, and it's again, it's like the discipline of it. Like, better. I've done this. It feels good. It makes a difference. Right. Why am I not doing this every day?
Right. My therapist, and I've done different types of breathing, but he introduced me to, it's very similar to breathing. I think it's in for 3, hold for 3, and then out for 5. When the exhale is longer than the inhale, it activates our, is it parasympathetic? It deactivates the fight or flight response. This is scientifically proven. When we exhale, like we inhale, but we hold and then exhale longer than both of those, that exhale out is what really calms us. It deactivates that nervousness, that fight or flight. I've learned when I've done speaking engagements and I've spoken in front of, the whole school or 1,000 people or to Pro Football Hall of Fame, I realized, like, public speaking for a lot of people is nerve-wracking. It's the #1 fear in America, I think, right? It's public speaking. But I realized, like, when I get a little nervous, and I always go up there and probably can't tell I'm nervous, but I'm nervous, But when I go up there, I realize I'm like holding my breath when I'm nervous, and I'm like, I'm not breathing. You know what I mean? And one of my yoga instructors, I had a few in the program that we did, but she told me personally, she's like, Sean, when you can control your breathing, you can control almost any emotion. If you can, in that moment, control your breathing. And when I'm angry, or if we're angry, we're huffing and puffing, you're not like, breathe. If I could just, when I remember to breathe before I respond or before I, and I don't always remember, but it's like, if I can, it's always puts me in a better place, a more stable place, a more grounded place. Like, all right, breathe, let me breathe. When I can speak and allow my breath to flow and not hold it because I'm got butterflies, or if I'm performing, it's just breathing. You have to breathe. If we can control our breathing, we can control almost any emotion. And as I've taken that, I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I've put it into practice. I'm like, wow, it's really true if we can remember to do it in those moments. So the breath is so powerful.
Well, and putting that in the context of dancers too, it's like the nerves that tend to take over right before we hit the stage or do something that makes us really anxious. Yes. You think about that, you're when we're dancing, we're communicating emotion, we're telling a story. And so if you can control that breath, if you can control those nerves, then you can go out there and tell the story in a beautiful way, and
way better,
in a way where you're present and in that moment instead of floating above yourself. Right. And there's so many times, I know that we've all been there, but there's so many times I wish I could have had that technique. Right. So you've mentioned sound baths, you've mentioned breathing. Any other restorative practices or techniques that you would want to highlight for those out there that may be looking for something to help?
Yeah, I think when I began my healing journey, and not that somebody has to be healing, but if that's just a positive self-talk, right? I remember speaking every single day, numerous times in the mirror, speaking positive to myself. Whatever deficits I may have felt, I've turned it into, speaking positively as if I'm overcoming that, right? So positive affirmations are very, we're like a foundational piece of me getting over different things and just seeing myself positively, being more confident in myself again. So just, writing out things, positive affirmations were big. Writing them out, speaking them. We've got the yoga, we've got the sound. One thing that and you said it in my bio, being mindful of just what we eat, right? Our emotions, our mood, our gut is like our second brain. And it's when I'm eating healthy and I'm eating clean and I'm juicing kale, beets, carrots, and I'm drinking my sea moss or whatever, or even if I don't have those things and I'm just eating clean, my mood is better. I have more energy. I'm just happier. I'm not, and when I go into places where I'm not eating as good, I can feel it emotionally, physically. So I think a nutrition portion of that, and people don't often understand that there's literally a connection to our gut and our brain and our emotions. It all starts with what we put in our body. So I think coupled with that is my focus. To couple that nutrition piece with all of this is like, it's perfection in my mind.
That is awesome. If you're just joining, I'm Bree with Apollo here with Melissa McDaniel Grisham and Sean Cattouse. We're talking today about how restorative practices can help us kind of ease the burden of that mid-year burnout that we all feel as dance educators. This applies in and outside of the dance world, and you can really apply this to any part of your life, but specifically for dance educators. I want to talk, Sean, about how we can use all of this that we're talking about today to prevent the mid-year burnout we see so much in all of our students and ourselves right around that January timeframe, right before competition season kicks in. The stress is at an all-time high. Some people don't really buy into the idea of restorative practice. So how do you recommend introducing these techniques to students and staff that haven't necessarily been exposed to them before, and have them receive it in a positive way?
Right. So I think once they feel the effects, and in my mind, I've never been a dancer. I groove a little bit, but I can imagine, right? A big competition.
I mean, a football game, it's
Right.
the same,
So
right? It's the
before
same.
you get out there, I would 100% be coaching them just on breathing. I do it with my athletes. If you shoot and take, breathe. You hear me from the sideline, breathe before you shoot that free throw, breathe before, we do a circle as a team when it's games on the line, the fourth quarter. Like it's, so breathe, right? I think if you can incorporate that, like burnout, right? If we can schedule small increments, if it's 5 minutes, everybody lay down on the ground or the mat or whatever your setting is, 5 minutes, however's comfortable. We're pausing, we're silent, just breathe, however you're comfortable, lay down and put on one of these things that I've told you that you can put on iTunes or YouTube. Turn the lights if you can. If you can't, it's okay. I'll just say lights off and just have that throughout, even if it's a little bit every day. I think, when we think about burnout, we're not balanced somewhere. That we're lacking balance. We're going too much here. Now we're burnt out. We need to find that balance. So I think if you can steal 5 minutes of a practice every day or every other day, or have a 30-minute, like a midweek or end of the week, we do 30 minutes of movement and sound and relax meditation. I think once the students feel that, they will believe in it. I think it's we just have to schedule those small times. I would definitely the breath and sound would be two big things. Breathing, teaching breathing. When you're nervous, breathe. Teach them how to breathe, and then having those meditative spaces throughout to keep a little bit of balance, so that they're not so burnt out. I think that would
So
be.
really, you're saying to introduce this to people that haven't felt it before and don't have necessarily exposure to it, even if it is your staff, make that time to get everybody together and essentially, I don't want to say force people to do it, but just say, this is what we're doing until they get it, till they have that
right,
light
and
bulb
let them
moment, because
explain
they
it for
will have it.
themselves. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I know you all are nervous. We're nervous. We have nerves. We're big performance coming up. There's pressure. Some people may be very confident. Some of you may doubt yourself. Whatever's going on in your head, I just want us to take a moment to pause, to just breathe, and just we're going to put these little pieces at the 5 minutes or 3 minutes at the end of practice. I will not get everybody silent and just take a moment to pause. And I think after a few days, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I would love to hear if you all try this. I would love to hear what they say after a few days of it. I'm sure it will be positive with just nerves, with stress levels lowering. Yeah.
I have a question
And-
about practitioners, Sean.
Yeah.
Because we use, all of our guests are professionals, all of our guests are trained and certified in things that they do. What should you look for in like a yoga instructor? Is certification required? Like,
I think I went to a really good certification program. I don't think, there are people who are extremely wise out here who might be smarter than people who have masters and doctorates, right? So I don't think the education doesn't need to always be formal. I think if someone's very familiar with it, right, and you would need to know and see a history of someone's work or trust, okay, this person may not be certified, but they are clearly have mastered this area, right? So I think a certification is just the standard. I'm registered with the Yoga Alliance. It's like the biggest overarching, so I just went there because it's reputable. It's this. I want to make sure I'm credible to people who care for those things. If I personally, I think it's a good foundation, but if you see someone who may not have that, but is clearly proven, I would feel fine if I got a good sense and intuition and see the body of work and see them, seeing them in practice. I think you definitely want someone with a good intention, a good understanding that shows they have a good intention and understanding of what you're looking for yourself or for the group, right? Because everyone's looking for different things. So I think the ability to get in there and address your needs in various ways and have a knowledge of how to do that is important. But I think I would generally maybe look for somebody, with a certificate, but for me, I'm just not that way. I know there's smart people who are not in college who are brilliant, and I'm not going to say they're not brilliant because they didn't go to college, So
Absolutely.
that's just me.
So, we encourage dance educators to look in their community, to make those relationships and alignments with people in their community so that they do have resources to introduce to their students and staff. Obviously, yoga and sound healing and all the things we talked about are some of those things, but in this kind of post-COVID world that we're in, where everything has we've been brought together on Zoom and teleconferences and things like that, do you do consults with studios, or would you do with organizations that are not in your town where you would do something over Zoom? Is that something you recommend, or do you typically recommend? I know you said it's really better to do in person, but is it still beneficial if you're doing it online like we are today?
Absolutely. I actually started my yoga career doing it online. We were in lockdown. We were in the pandemic, and I started with students. I was doing it at my school. I was doing it on an IG Live for the entire 18 school network. I was taking clients over the phone. Some people were comfortable getting with me in person. And so I did those as well. But that's where I started, and people definitely saw benefits. It just kind of grew and grew and grew. Lots of positive feedback from that. Everything was virtual when I started 2 years ago. I would always recommend, as with anything, I think just the personal, having the energy of someone here with me. I think that's where, just as humans, it's best, right? But there's certainly benefits, and certainly, I had a lot of people returning clients, and people were happy, and I had a good thing going virtually. So I'd recommend in person, but if you have to do what you got to do, this is definitely very doable and beneficial as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And last question we have before we go to homework, because I know we have to do that. Is there a wrong way to meditate?
Yeah.
So one thing I've learned, um, they were like, there's no wrong way. And
Yeah.
as long as you're not hurting yourself in yoga, right? There's no, like, when you go into movements, like, do what feels good for you. You know, like, we're going to do this posture, but if you need to add anything to it, move that however it feels good for you, right? Be in a position that feels good for you when you meditate. You don't have to do it like me, right? So I think as long as you're not hurting yourself or harming, you know, like, you don't want to be doing something that's putting you in pain or stress, right? If someone likes to, people meditate in the shower, you can meditate with music on, whatever allows you to turn
But
inward.
like, would you recommend going like play AC/DC while you meditate?
I wouldn't, but that might work for somebody.
Some Tupac. Let's meditate
Yeah,
on
His
Tupac.
own.
yo,
Some
that
90s
might
era
work.
gangster rap. Like, I mean, this is
I would
probably not.
recommend a certain feel of music. Personally, that's my belief, right? I'm not playing the drums and the electric guitar during meditation, but some drums could be nice though. Some,
Okay,
you
okay,
know,
all
but
right.
I would not recommend. But somebody, to each his own. Whatever works for you is just right.
Okay, so give it a shot, and then nothing's off limits, according to
Right.
Sean. Maybe
Just don't
stay
hurt
away from
yourself. That's
Don't
it.
yeah,
hurt
don't
Just
hurt
don't
yourself
hurt
yourself.
yourself.
or
Everything else is
others.
good.
And it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just meditate. You
Oh
can breathe.
yes, breathe,
You can use
breathe, breathe.
the apps are really easy. That's what we
Yep,
Mhm.
learned today from
yep,
Mr. Sean. So, Mr.
yep.
Sean, going into that, we
Yes.
like to give homework, and we like
Okay.
to see progress on this show. We like people to see improvement in their lives. So, what is one thing that you want our viewers to kind of work on between now and next Friday, where they can see a difference in the way that they're feeling and the way that they're living their life? What's one thing you would challenge them to do?
I want to challenge them that something that everybody could do is to mindfully breathe.
Mhm.
Whether once a day, as many times each day, you can do it walking, you can do it in the shower, you can do it when you have 60 seconds at work. You can have your eyes open. I like to close my eyes, breathe, breathe. Start by breathing and making mindful, intentional breathing a part of your daily practice of living. When there's any, breathe, breathe, breathe as much as possible, as often as possible. To do it intentionally and feel it, feel your body relax, feel what your body feels when you breathe. Breathe, breathe,
Okay.
breathe. That's the
We're gonna
homework.
do mindful breathing this week,
Mindful
people.
breathing.
And
At
Melissa and
least
I are
once
gonna
a
do
day.
it
We're
at least
gonna
once
do
a
it.
day. We're gonna finally get on this breathing train because we know better. We know better, and we're all
We've been
about
told
when we
multiple
know better, we
times
do
now,
better.
so we should
Yes,
probably
this
do
is
it.
like I think the third time this
This is a
season that we've
recurring,
had
Right.
this
Yeah, it's a
conversation.
recurring theme,
it
right?
keeps
Yes,
coming back until you
Yeah.
that
learn the
means
Universe
something.
lesson.
is
That
like,
means we're
listen, until you do
yeah.
it, we're gonna
Breathe.
keep putting guests on the show to tell you to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Melissa, we're breathing. We're gonna
We're
breathe.
breathing.
So we, that is the homework from Mr. Sean. So you need to make sure you incorporate that this week. We always are here with, take our Beyond the Steps initiative course that we have for you. It's online modules that you could take at your own pace, with everything from racism to gender inequities to nutrition and psychology, dance medicine and science, sex abuse and prevention, a lot of things that are really impacting the dance world right now. But it goes beyond that. So take that, explore that. It is completely free, and Melissa's going to pop that link in for you all right now. We also encourage you to check out our friends at YPAD, Youth Protection Advocates in Dance. They are doing amazing things to keep kids happy, healthy, safe in dance, and we've never needed it more than we do right now. We have a 25% off code for you. If you want to get registered, or certified this season, this is a good time before you open your doors for the fall season for 22-23. Make your studio and your staff a safe space for these students because they deserve that. And finally, you're going to check out all the sound healing. Kev Thompson on YouTube, 432 hertz. Those were the recommendations for some sound healing I guess sounds, music, healing
Frequencies, yep.
frequencies. Thank you.
Frequencies.
Intentional frequencies that target the chakras, right?
Yep.
We learned that today. See, I was paying
Yes.
attention.
Look at Bree.
I'm
Did
like,
you
this
I
is
take notes,
good.
Bree? Okay.
I'm just
He was
saying, I
listening.
could teach your classes, Sean. I know now. I need to just practice it myself, and that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my homework. So we're back next week. Melissa, tell us what we've got.
Yes, we have college prep for dancers having a pre-pro mindset with Gina McFadden. So I'm super excited about that. We have a lot of seniors. We're going to start the year. It's time to start thinking about that. Where you're applying, where are your auditions. So we are going to have that amazing conversation. Please don't miss that next week. I also want to make sure that we all know how we can get in touch with Sean. Can you give us your social media handles?
Yes, it is Yogi Man Sean, just like it's spelled, YOGIMANSEAN, Yogi Man Sean. All of my, for anyone that might be in Chicago, all of my events, all of my work is typically posted there. Yep, that's the best place for me on Instagram.
Are you still doing any virtual stuff?
I have actually taken a month off, and I'm going to get back started. All of this giving has been, it'll be on there. I'm going to be doing, I'm putting together some audio books, a lot of different things, but virtual will be, if someone is interested, they can reach out to me on my Instagram, but I'm going to get back started doing some stuff. I took a break after the school year for myself.
Right. Apparently we all did. It's
I'm
okay.
We were just
going.
like, we can't do this anymore. We're out. we can't, but you have to take that time. You got to know when it's time to break. So thank you so much, Sean, for joining us. It was an amazing show. Very happy to have you. Hopefully we have you back on again at some point, and maybe you can lead us through some practices here virtually.
I could certainly. I have the bowls ready. I could do that.
Oh my God,
we will be better prepared. We will be well versed because we're going to do our homework.
Nice.
Right, exactly. As always, thank you, Bree. I'm so happy to be back. I think we did actually take a whole month break. So so happy to be back to take season 2 on into ending and then get ready to start season 3. Of course, to everyone who is watching today, thank you so much. Please widely share this episode. The whole point of this is to make sure we're educating the entire dance community. So send it to your teachers, send it to your students, send it to your parents, and tell them to watch next week when we have Gina McFadden on. Until then, we hope you continue your journey beyond the steps. See you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Bye-bye.